Welcome to the Personalities in the Workplace podcast. We're introducing you to an easy-to-understand conversation about personality types. Navigating the different personalities in your business can be tedious. We believe that once you understand what drives and stresses those you work with, you can better interact and steer others towards productivity and success. Today, we're focusing on our fifth personality type, the ESFJ, who we call the Energizer. This episode is sponsored by Sage Garden Care Center. We specialize in team trainings, executive and manager coaching, and employee optimization workshops. You can learn more at sagegardencare.org.
Timogi, the empowerment specialist, here with Chuck Taylor from Sage Garden Care Center. Say hi, Chuck.
Hi. Glad to be here.
I'm having a blast with you learning about these different Myers-Briggs personality types.
Well, good.
Today we are one you have labeled the Energizer, ESFJ. Say that 3 times fast.
ESFJ, ESFJ,
See. So let's talk about the Energizer, as in like the Energizer bunny. Do they keep going and going and going?
It would seem that is the case. If anybody is fueled by the ability to take care of others and to really just keep the environment going and going well, it's the ESFJ. They are truly the energizers of the social platform.
Wow. So when I look at the strengths of the ESC, I told you I couldn't say it 3 times fast, ESFJ personality type that you've outlined so beautifully on these cards, the first strength I find is that they are friendly.
So when we were putting together these cards, and so the ESFJ is extroverted, sensing, feeler, judging, right? So they enjoy people, that extroverted quality. They get energized by people. Sensors, they stay in the moment. They focus on the present realities. Feelers, they're attending to the feelings that they have about situations and people. And they're judging in the sense they like to get things done, act fast, and move. Mm-hmm. We really were trying to find an icon that fit who they are, because when you think of an ESFJ, think of that that person who is just an absolute wonderful host or hostess at a party, and they enjoy making sure that the home looks absolutely beautiful and gorgeous, and they look like everything is just perfect and everybody is attended to as they're creating the environment that they want. And as we were discussing this and thinking about it, going back and forth, it was just this energy level that they had to take care of people and stay in the planning and stay in the moment. And in a workplace environment, they're the people that are bouncing around from person to person, making sure everyone's being taken care of. And so there really is this just energy and this verve about them where they don't give up. They're passionately connected to people. And so if you're looking at someone who's an ESFJ, that sense of friendliness and engagement, wanting to care about you, concerned about your story and your life, I mean, that is profound in everything that they seem to do.
Well, you spoke about getting ready for the party. So this ESFJ personality type, are they also going to clean up? And I literally mean, like, does that energy last not just in the setting up stages, but are they excited when everybody's gone and now it's time to wash the dishes, take out the trash, and sweep the floor?
You know, it's fun that you asked the question, because I don't know that most of us on the male side of the spectrum would even think about that. So there's a possibility that the female ESFJs may lean more towards energy in the cleanup versus the men who will quickly go and relax. You hear my bias there.
Regardless of what personality trait they are.
Regardless of what personality trait that you are. But I think that there's a certain fulfillment that comes with a job done well. And so the cleanup process may be, I'm fueled because I had all these people that were here with me. Mm-hmm. We had a great time. Everybody seemed to enjoy themselves. Everything took off. And so cleaning up is an opportunity to reflect on the experience, to appreciate what was done.
Okay, makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. And that the strengths of the ESFJ include being determined and organized? Talk to me, Chuck.
Well, and I want to throw a dependable in on that as well. So when you need a job done, so this sensing, what we call SJ components. So they're sensors and they're judgers. These are the people who tend to get things done, and you can rely on them to get it done well. If they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. If they say that they're going to accomplish a task by a certain date, then by that time you can be assured that they're going to have it done, if not done early. And so the determined part of this comes into when they have a plan of action. Here's what I want to accomplish. Here's when I want to accomplish it. They are focused on accomplishing that plan. They take off with it. So one of the things that we compare them to is their counterparts, which is the ESFP. And you hear the difference between the P and the J. Ps are a lot more flexible and adaptable. Doesn't mean that Js can't be, but oftentimes they have a plan. They want to stick to that plan. That's what they want to go with. And that also has it's good because they're able to accomplish so much, but it has its blind spot as well where there's a little less flexibility.
Okay. I also see that these energizers are warm. And passionate. So talk to me a little bit about how that plays out in the workplace.
So think about that passion as it relates to getting a job done and getting a job done well. So they have this energy with people. They have a plan of action that they want to take off with. What they commit themselves to, they're excited about. Okay, so whether they're working with people or especially when they're working with people or maybe with a project or something else, they do so with an energy that is a bit infectious as other people are watching them. They're warm in the sense that as you're connecting to them, man, they just care about you. They're just genuinely interested in who you are. It's hard to escape a conversation with a person who is an ESFJ without feeling like they're truly invested in who you are as a person. We want to take a brief moment here to tell you about Sage Garden Care Center and why we've made this podcast available to you. Every business can optimize productivity by educating their leaders, managers, and employees of their blind spots and pain points. We provide the knowledge and the tools to help you engage your employees to best contribute to the organization's success. We help you leverage their strengths so that you can trust they're helping your organization flourish. As an optimization coach, I help companies nationally and internationally unify their teams, effectively engage conflict, communicate well, and bolster their aptitude for success. Whether you work with a company, a church, an NGO or nonprofit, an education center, or anything else, we have trainings that will help your team. Learn more at sagegardencare.org and look for Chuck's Coaching under the Services tab. Schedule your free consultation appointment today, and we will discuss a plan that fits your budget, your needs, and your goals. All right, let's jump back into our conversation.
Wow. Well, I like that. And that does energize other people, right? When somebody cares about you, they're passionate, they're warm, they're friendly, they're determined, they're dependable. All of these strengths of this I told you I can't say it fast, ESFJ personality,
right.
Then yes, people like that. They do get energized by that type of energy coming at them versus some of the other traits that I think when you look at their strengths, these are less likely to be misunderstood.
Right.
Versus the different types of styles that are just a little bit more direct and forward. So that's what I appreciate about this. So now let's talk about the stressors of ESFJs.
So one of the first ones right off the top is indecision, right? Because they have a plan for how things ought to be done. They have a way things ought to be accomplished. And so we're going to pull back into this conversation these words like should and ought. These show up really with those SJ components. So people that are ESFJ, ISFJ, you hear that should and ought, and usually in their thinking, you'll hear it come out loud more with the ESFJs, but they have a plan for what needs to happen. They want it to be accomplished in that way. A person that's sitting around going, well, maybe we should do it this way or that way, can be taxing and can be vexing for these individuals, which is their ESFP counterparts. Whenever you hear that P, you're going to ask a lot more questions.
Okay. And so those stressors also include procrastination.
Right, and procrastination is a dirty word in these words, because usually procrastinators are the ones that have a P in their lettering, and I want to be very careful that we say that people who have a P, they're perceiving in their nature, oftentimes aren't necessarily procrastinators. They can be, but that what looks like procrastination is really thinking about and trying to take in information internally in their minds as they're trying to decide what to do. But to the J's who are quick to act, they want to move, they want to get things accomplished. If you said it was going to be done in 2 weeks, if it's due in 2 weeks, we started yesterday, right? And we're getting accomplished, and our goal is to complete it before you asked.
Okay, so instead of procrastinate, they like to see progress, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
So are these the managers who are going to check back in with you every week for 4 weeks until it's done, or what?
Yeah, very possible. If you have an ESFJ as a manager, and they're not working at their best, you might say they're micromanaging. Right? They want to check in with, and there's a couple of different things going on, because I really want to be fair to the personalities. Remember, you have an extrovert; they get energized by being around people.
Yes.
So what can happen here is you have an ESFJ. This is a person who wants to connect with you. They roam up and down the hallways, finding people to talk to. How are you doing? What's going on? They try to find a topic of conversation. Well,
Okay.
they gave you a project. Hey, Timogi, remember that project I gave you last week? I just want to check in. How are you doing? Now, what's really going on is they may just be starting a conversation. How are things going? They're not monitoring. They're not trying to micromanage. They're just trying to see how things are going. But if you're feeling some insecurity or frustration, or maybe there's tension in the relationship, you might perceive that to be micromanaging.
Or my personality type just hasn't started. You said I had 4 weeks to get it done.
But it's only been 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean 3 weeks and 3 days.
Right.
I mean, I have a long time to finish
Got a
this.
whole 4 days left. Right. So so they're going to be checking in. They're going to be following up. The reasons for it might be different than you would assume.
Right. And one of their other stressors I see is isolation.
Anytime you see that E in the personality code, you can just assume that isolation is going to be a stressor. They want to be involved with people. They want some interaction, unless they're overwhelmed with work that needs to get done. Now, I will say this, especially with the ESFJ, if they have a project that needs to be completed, they may close their door and say, look, I can't have you bothering me right now because I got to focus on getting this job done.
Because I only have 24 hours left on this 4-week project, and you're in my space.
That's right.
Oh, boy.
And isolation can be a turn off, as well as because ESFJs do a good job of delegating and pulling a lot of people into the conversation. And so if you're one of those individuals, they may be checking in because you're one cog in this larger system of accomplishment that they're trying to work with. And so they want to check in with you.
This is very interesting. This is the first time I've seen this word come up in the personality traits. Unintentional slights.
Yeah, so this is one of those things that can be a bit of a bear for the ESFJ. And if you're an ESFJ and you're listening in, I want you to take this for what it really is. And I see this really with the ESFJ as well as the ISFJs, where things can happen or things can be said and it's perceived incorrectly. And so unintentional slights are, I'm listening to what you're saying, watching what you're doing, and I take personally your actions, your behaviors, or comments to be something about me that it wasn't intended to be. So an unintentional slight might be an employee walks in and they are turning in the report, but they're doing it 30 minutes after it was due when you gave them the assignment 3 hours ago. And ESFJ, if they're not working at their best, can perceive that as you don't care enough about the work that I'm doing to give me the report on time.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Well, I once heard this phrase, and we're coming to a close on this personality trait, that being offended is a choice.
Oh, yes. It's true.
And so talk to me in turn, because their stressors are unintentional slights, irreverence, hurt feelings, and dismissiveness.
Yes. Yeah, so this is the personality type that can really get their feelings hurt very easily. And so you want to make sure you have a culture where we're attending to people's feelings. But if you're an ESFJ, I want you to be involved in conversations with people to know where they're coming from and why they're doing what they're doing. Because oftentimes what you think is going on isn't really what's going on. So investigate, communicate, and understand.
All right. I can close on that. Investigate, communicate, and understand. Thanks, Chuck.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening to episode 10 of the Personalities in the Workplace podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to the personality cards that we mentioned, more information on Timogi Jackson and me, Chuck Taylor, a link to take your own personality assessment online, and much more. Each episode, we're bringing you practical, tangible, and engaging conversations that will help you gain perspective on the people you work with. Join us for the next episode where we will discuss the Comforter, the ISFJ personality type. Is there something you want to learn about regarding personalities? Send an email to chuck@personalitiesintheworkplace.com.